All right, well, it's time we addressed it, shall we?
So as you guys can tell by the title, I don't really have a dream job, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I feel like technically I'm supposed to be like living the dream, right? Like I did everything right in terms of like societal standards, right? Like I went to college because I grew up thinking that college was like the only option. I went to major in psychology, I remember, and I like everyone told me that psychology was not going to make me any money, so I switched over to marketing, which is basically like the psychology of capitalism when you think about it. So I switched over to marketing, and I now work for one of the biggest corporations in the world, and I make a lot of money. Like I make good money for someone coming out of college. I have a nice apartment. I'm able to afford trips and the things that I want and clothes that I want. And I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in, but I feel like I'm supposed to be happy. I really thought that once I got here, I would be satisfied, but I'm not. In reality, I feel really low energy when I wake up in the morning. My alarm goes off and I have like this instant feeling of like dread, like this like weight on my shoulders and like this kind of like anxiety.
You know, one of the things I picked up in that initial statement right here, right, is when she mentioned afford. I'm able to afford these trips. Perhaps you can afford that luxury apartment. Perhaps you can afford that, new 2021 car. But do you really need that financial obligation? Do you really need your money to be going towards that amount, right? If you have this luxury apartment taking up almost 50% of your monthly income, is that really beneficial for you? That's just something else you're adding to that you could say is draining you, right? And it's making you need that job to sustain your current lifestyle.
In terms of money, we have no money.
Honestly, I do believe there's some truth in saying that your job is draining. You come back from work, you feel tired, you don't want to do anything. But if you have all these extra financial obligations, you're essentially running a rat race, right? For that luxury apartment, for example, right? 50% of your income right away is going towards just living. Perhaps it might be beneficial to maybe lower that monthly overhead, because rent is usually people's biggest monthly expense, to maybe 30% of your monthly income. Maybe have a roommate for the short time, right? Until you can get your own place in terms of like owning it, right? And then that car. What major difference is a 2021 car compared to a 2016 or 2017 type of car? Without the monthly payments, right? And the added stress of not missing payments. Pay off the car in full and then go about your day and be less stressed and be more free. If you really want to venture outside of your regular 9-to-5 job or whatever type of job you're working, you have to be more stingy with your other financial obligations that make you almost dependent, heavily dependent on said job. How much of your monthly income are you currently saving? You would ideally, maybe your goal should be to have at least 6 months worth of expenses covered. So if your monthly expenses, let's say, is $2,000, you have at least $12,000 saved up, so that for the next 6 months, if you quit, you'd be good. And maybe during that time, you get a part-time job that allows you to sustain your lifestyle a little bit as you maybe do other creative endeavors. But if you're not saving and you're not splurging, but like you're spreading yourself thin in various different financial realms, you're working your job is not going to be fun.
And I know for me, I feel this feeling of like, if I'm not productive, if I'm not hustling, then I will not be financially stable, and I cannot afford this lifestyle that I've been taught that I should want. And even when I'm resting, like even on the weekends, I feel like I'm just honestly resting to refuel myself for the next work week. And I don't think that this feeling is natural. Like, I don't think that this hustle culture and this anxiety that's a lot of times rooted in feeling like you have to perform at your best at all times and you have to bring so much of yourself to a 9-to-5 job that really you don't actually value. I don't think that that's natural. And I feel like we've normalized this, and we've normalized the anxiety and the depression that comes with this overproductive culture because we've been taught that this is the only way to live. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's plenty of people who love their 9-to-5 job. There's plenty of people out there who love going to school and love class, and this is their dream life, and that's totally fine. But I'm realizing more and more that there's way too many people who don't feel the same way. There's way too many people who wake up every single day and feel a sense of anxiety and dread about starting their day because they're spending a majority of their days doing things that they don't love because they've been taught that that's the only route. And I think because it's so unnatural, we kind of start to numb ourselves to how it actually makes us feel, right? Like I know for me in college, I learned that you deal with stress and you deal with being overproductive by drinking. Like I know for me, I've seen some of these smartest people numb themselves with drugs and alcohol on a daily basis to deal with how stressed they feel and how much pressure they put themselves under in order to be successful. And a lot of people, even if they're not doing drugs or drinking all the time,
This is a perfect example, right? It's not even just physical drugs, right? Not just the mainstream drugs such as alcohol, but also marijuana, coffee, pornography, right? All these things not only essentially, well, pornography to a lesser extent, but a lot of them cost money. So you're spending money on these substances. In a lot of cases, you're probably losing productivity on these substances, right? Especially if it's a everyday thing, right? If you're smoking marijuana damn near most of the week, drinking alcohol most of the week, you're masturbating to pornography most of the week. For a lot of people, if you really want that dopamine spike, you can get the same amount of dopamine in physical activity, joining martial arts, joining a cross-country team, joining some type of intramural squad or intramural league. I'm sure many of you have realized it yourself, but there's a certain high effect or feeling of euphoria you get after completing a workout. The initial stages of actually going to do the workout or going to the gym or whatever isn't all that all that enticing, but the euphoric effect afterwards, definitely top tier.
This, by working out, by exercising, by having mild stress on the body, we are training the brain to become more resilient, which is exactly why we feel so good. Stress literally doesn't affect us as much because the BDNF has put this protective layer around the brain cells so they don't get affected as badly. It's truly remarkable, and it actually has effects that stick. So even when you're working out and you feel amazing and then you kind of come down from that workout high, you're still at a baseline that's higher than you were before. Each and every time you work out and you increase that BDNF, you are increasing your brain cells' resilience. So that little bit of stress that you put yourself through is doing amazing things in terms of getting you high, so to speak.
And also, one of the things that definitely comes with, substances or drinking alcohol, whatever, is the camaraderie, being around other people. So maybe doing some type of physical activity that involves other people will definitely help you get that feeling of escapism, but in a more beneficial and positive manner. So just Google search, physical activities near me in my local area, martial arts near me, or something near you, some type of physical activity near you, or some type of club near you. Join and be a part of it.
A lot of times people will turn to escapism in order to ignore what's actually going on in the world, right? So it's like binging Netflix for hours a day or getting lost in reality TV. It's like there's so many different coping mechanisms that you could choose in order to escape your actual reality and pretend like you're not actually unsatisfied.
Oh, and in terms of like addiction, once again, right? If you genuinely feel you're not addicted to something, I'd highly recommend you go a month. Go a month without your substance of choice and let me know if you're not addicted to it. If you can't even go, let's say can you even go 2 weeks without masturbating? Can you go 2 weeks without smoking? 2 weeks without alcohol? 2 weeks without coffee? If you can't, I'd say at least 2 weeks, but the definite barometer is a month. If you can't even go 2 weeks or a month without your substance of choice, you're probably addicted. And it might behoove you to look at some resources online that help you with that. Not only are you spending a lot of money on these things too, but also you're losing productivity, losing adequate sleep. You're not really showing up as your best self in a lot of cases if you're overusing them and abusing it essentially.
the life you're living. There's no question why so many people in this country from such a young age, even like starting in like middle school or high school, start getting such bad depression and anxiety or other severe mental illnesses as a result of this. Yes, mental illness is a biological thing, but you have to really consider, like, if there is such a bad mental illness epidemic in this country, what are the conditions that are causing so many people to have such low serotonin levels or to be so suicidal or whatever? Because there's so many of us dealing with it that it's like, there's no way this is not normal. If you are feeling unsatisfied with your life right now, if you feel like you're dreading going to work or you're dreading going to class, or if you feel low energy when you wake up in the morning, you are not alone. It's not natural, and there's a reason why so many of us feel this way. We're conditioned from a young age to think that we're supposed to be this stressed, that we're supposed to only rest as a reward for work. And when you look at other countries and you see them working to live and not living to work, it's kind of baffling, because it's like, damn, other people live differently than us. And we actually don't have to live this way. I feel like so many people are realizing this, especially with 2020 and with all of our realities kind of shifting and us really taking a look into what actually matters to us. And I think a lot of people are realizing, like, this shit doesn't matter. And also, this shit is not real. And I think the funny thing about capitalism, especially capitalism in America, is that it's designed to make us believe that it's the only option. And you're made out to believe that your anxiety or your depression or your just unsatisfaction with your life is your problem, when in reality, it's a societal problem. And it's also designed to be this way. This feeling of success and what it means in America seeps into your everyday psyche, right? It's like, okay, if I don't go to college, I could possibly be a failure and be poor and homeless for the rest of my life. So let me go to college and get a degree. If I don't pass this class, then I may not get a degree and I could possibly be poor and homeless for the rest of my life, right? If I don't study for this test for 8 hours today, then I could possibly not pass my class and possibly not get a college degree and be poor and homeless for the rest of my life. So the things that we do, we start to actually do them out of fear instead of out of love for them. We start to make these decisions in our lives that are less about what we actually.
One of the things that's been a major benefit to me overall is just incorporating more yoga into my daily practice, daily life, right?
And release all of those sounds that are trapped in your mind.
Sir, are you okay?
I'm a little messed up.
Yoga just really puts you in a position of being one with your body, essentially, and just taking the time away from your phone. One of the other things I've done recently is when I go to the washroom, I don't bring my phone with me. Showering, sure, but like when I take a number 2, when I'm going to pee, don't take your phone with you. Just allow your brain to wander a little bit, and that feeling of like slowing down and not being in a constant state of rush or on the go, it just helps you a lot. Morning yoga or even evening yoga, but doing daily yoga, focusing on your breath, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, calms you.
Love and what we actually want to do as human beings, and more about what is going to make us safe. And at the end of the day, I know for me that I don't want to live in fear. Like, I don't want to live and wake up every day in fear that if I don't log into my job and answer some emails today, then I might be homeless for the rest of my life. And again, it's not so direct, but that's what it really comes from, right?
Again, that feeling of that fear of homelessness, especially when you already have a job, is highly derived from your current lifestyle, your current things that you need to sustain whatever it is you're doing, right? Again, having that luxury apartment. I'm not saying luxury is bad. I'm not saying buying luxury items is a bad thing. But like, are you already financially stable? Do you already have a certain amount of savings in your savings account to be able to buy this stuff? Do you have some money in an investment, right, that can pay dividends for you in the future so that you don't need that job all the time? Maybe at some point you could be part-time or quit it and take on a job that's less stressful, right? Again, like I said, having 6 months worth of expenses covered, three months worth of expenses saved up, right? Managing your credit card usage, not being in credit card debt, right? If you have $1,000 credit card limit, your goal should be to have a low credit card utilization. Not only does this help you with your credit score, but having your own self-imposed credit card limit prevents you from overspending. So again, if you have $1,000 limit, stick to using only $200. If you exceed $200, pay it down real quick before using a credit card again. $10,000 limit. Don't exceed $2,000 at any given time without paying that credit card balance down, right? Credit card debt, not saving. These two things right here, doing those two things and having a high monthly rent. If you can, obviously rent is if you can find a way to still live in a good environment. One of the things I've done is like living in Airbnbs on long-term stays. Having high rents, not having money in a savings account, and being in credit card debt. These three things, if you can manage these three things and minimize them, you won't be as stressed. Jobs can be stressful, definitely, but having that financial security, a financial safety net for yourself, goes a long way.
Because again, it's seeping into your psyche. And for me, as I think about what I really want to be spending my days doing, I don't have a dream job. I don't want to have to spend the rest of my life working so I can travel twice a year. I want to travel whenever the fuck I want. I want to make content that helps people and inspires people. I want to pursue fashion and help style people and help them find really dope pieces. That's what I want to do, but I don't want to have to do them out of fear. I want to pursue whatever passions I want, but I want to do them not out of me needing to make money from other things, but I want to do them out of my love for them. And the idea that you have to monetize your passions and your hobbies, the idea that you have to get a stable job if you can't monetize your passions and your hobbies is bullshit, and it also comes from fear. So what I encourage you to do is really think about what your purpose is, but think about it in terms of not a job. Don't even think about it like in terms of like income. Think about what you actually feel like your purpose is here on this earth. And honestly, that could be changing all the time. We've been taught to think that we have to work this one job for the rest of our lives. You're a human being who's constantly changing, constantly learning new things, and you may have a lot to contribute to this world and this universe that you may not even know about yet, right? But whatever your purpose is, or whatever you feel like your purpose is right now, try not to think of it from a fear-based mentality. Whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, as corny as this sounds, the universe is going to conspire to help you get there. For me, I knew that I wanted to do content for a really long time. So for a long time, when I got my 9-to-5 job, I was making content, but I was kind of doing it like out of fear. Because I was like, okay, how can I get out of my 9-to-5 as quickly as possible by making money from my YouTube channel? So I started posting a lot of videos that I thought were gonna get me views, and I was really so focused on the views and how much money I could be making from my YouTube. So I was almost making content out of fear because I didn't want to be in my current position anymore. And at some point at the end of 2020, I started to let go of that fear, and I finally started making content that I felt like was actually serving my purpose. I started making
This one right here really hit home. For a lot of people, unless you are a select few, you probably won't be making money off of any type of social media, like big money, for the next 3 to 5 years. Just have that in mind, and that feeling of anxiety or that feeling of like rushing the process will dissipate. Just assume for the next 3 to 5 years, you won't be able to make money, or at least pay your rent.
Please maybe get a word?
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
With your income from YouTube or any social media platform. And you at that point, if you have that mindset for the next 3 to 5 years, I'm gonna put out content. Eventually I might get monetized. Eventually I might get some sponsorship deal. Eventually this will be able to pay my stuff. Sure. But rushing the process. And even if you think about it, right? You might say, oh, there's so many people on YouTube already making content, etc., etc., etc. No one makes it like you. And even people who are making content, some of them haven't posted in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. There's always people who are falling off, people who are coming new, and people who are can fill in the gap, essentially, right? See how Joe Rogan recently left YouTube, and then we have all these other podcasts that can, take up some of that market share. And the easiest way to, I would arguably say, to like start thinking about content is just monetizing your current life, or not monetizing, but like utilizing your life as content. If you go to a school in British Columbia, talk about it. If you go to Howard University, talk about your experience. If you got into credit card debt, talk about it. If you are currently at a job, maybe you are at a marketing firm, or you're moving to a new city, talk about it. Right? The truth about moving to Atlanta, the truth about moving to Canada, the truth about moving to Vancouver, stuff like that. Content that you enjoy, you want to talk about it. And having a 3 to 5 years of expectation that you're not going to make money will put you at ease.
Content that I actually really was passionate about, like fashion, or giving people advice on how to do social media full time, or now giving people advice on how to just live their dream lives. This is what I've been saying that I want to do for like years. And the second that I stopped overthinking it and making content out of fear.
Y'all see she on her yoga tip, right? Great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. Get on your yoga tip.
It's a heart. This is what I like to call my told you so dance. I told you so, 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 I told you so.
Get a yoga mat. Watch some yoga videos on the tube.
Is when I started finally growing. Like my channel, my TikTok, my Instagram, everything is growing now. And it didn't happen for me until I stopped looking at my content from a fear-based mentality. So whatever it is that you want to do, whether it be traveling the world or doing social media full time, or even if you want to just go live on a farm and grow some plants somewhere, do whatever it is in your power to pursue it. And while it sucks that a lot of us are in positions that we don't want to be in because we've been convinced that we have to be, like if we're in college because we feel like we had to go, and now we're in student loan debt, and then you have to work a 9 to 5 to pay off your debt. It sucks. It's a shitty position to be in. But I encourage you to still try to make as much room as possible for whatever it is that you're passionate about. And again, do those things without fear. You have to be present, and you cannot rush the process, because again, if it's something that you actually love and it's something that is serving the greater purpose of this universe, it will work out. Everything will come naturally. You don't have to have a dream way of monetizing your life. You can live whatever life you want. So do things every day to be present and to be aware of what's going on. Meditate, work out, journal, read. Do what you have to do to stay awake and stay conscious of what's going on in this world. Don't become a zombie and be a victim to your own reality. If you don't like the job that you're working, if you don't like the fact that you're in school, do something about it and pursue what you love as early as you can. And I promise you, the minute that you stop thinking about it in terms...
I rock with that. I rock with that a lot. Minimizing your expenses, I would say, is the blueprint to not feeling as anxious or not feeling as dependent on your job, right? Do you really need that luxury apartment? Like I said again, do you really need those extra pair of clothes? Can you make money off of this purchase? Right? Is this when I buy this stuff, will it make me more money in the future? When I buy this, will it save me more money in the future? Do I really need that 2021 car? Or can I get a 2016 car or 2015 car with no monthly payments, and it'll do the job for me? I'll get to and from work and not have that monthly obligation to pay said bill, right? Stuff like that. And then how much of my current income am I saving? 30%, 50%, 40%, 10%? That all bodes to ultimately creating a lifestyle outside of needing said job all the time. And like the great Charles Munger said, spend each day trying to be a little wiser than you were when you woke up. Discharge your duties faithfully and well. And at the end of the day, if you live long enough, most people get what they deserve. As always, if it doesn't feed you, don't water it. And too much of any good thing is good for nothing. How are you lot doing today? Say it with me. I'm doing more, saying less, and keeping that same energy. No cap. Flip the script. I'm out.
It's your life, bad thing, looking like good girl. Told me you different, baby, no acting. Haven't you heard of karma? Haven't you heard at all? Bad thing, looking like centerfold. Told me you different, baby, no acting. Haven't you heard of karma?
No jokes, I'm
coming through for you. Been a while since I first knew you. You perfect, no need to change. Only thing